this video, I'm going to show you how I create a Sappy Days cartoon. The first thing I do is I want to create my perspective grid. I'm using Procreate. I'll click the wrench. I'll go to the canvas and select the drawing guide, edit drawing guide. I'm going to select the 2-point perspective, and I'm going to push that all the way to the side. If you do it too close to the edge, it ends up looking too much like a fisheye. This is a helpful guide for me. Some people may not need this, but I do. Now I'm going to use my small mess sketch pencil to map out the cartoon and what I want to have in it. Now I have a general idea for a cartoon, and the idea is that a centaur goes in for a waxing. So now I have to figure out, like a director, how I would like to stage this scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw where I'd like my characters to be and what direction they would be facing. So in this case, I want to have my waxer here, and she is going to be like that, and my centaur will be coming in here to get waxed. Draw straight lines up. Something like this. This is the way they're going to be facing. So now I'm going to block out about how big I want them to be. And I'm going to now start mapping out where I'd like the general portions of their bodies to be. So my waxer has a head right here. She is getting ready to do her job, which means she's probably sitting in a chair, getting ready to wax the next client, not knowing that centaur is coming in. Now, I've never had a wax before, but I know it often involves some kind of a can and some kind of a stick she's preparing. So her hand will be on the stick as she's getting the wax ready, and her other hand is going to be holding this jar of wax, which we will label wax to make it clear. Now we're going to make our centaur. Now I haven't seen a centaur in a while, but I want it to generally have a head, and the confidence is going to be part of the joke here. Is this guy is extremely excited about his wax, so he's going to have his arms puffed like this, excitedly. He's going to have a little ruffle here, and then he's going to have his little goat legs, which should, in some way, lean forward like this. Now, the last time I saw a centaur was probably the Narnia movies, so I'm going to make something like that, so that means he'll be bare-chested, and he'll be looking at her like this, and he'll have his centaur legs there. So, now that I've done that, let's go ahead and map out the direction their faces are going. I have a circle here. I'm going to draw the line. The top line is for where her eyebrows will go. She's looking up as she sits here doing her wax. And then he is looking at her, and there's his eyebrow line there. Now I want to start filling out the details a little bit. Let's start with the waxer here. I'm going to draw a circle on the side of her head, take the middle of that circle and make a chin to give me the general shape of her face. And then I'm going to draw these eyes of stun. She can't believe that this guy is coming in for a wax. So her mouth is just dropped right now. And her ear is going to be right about there. And her hair like this. And since she's working, she's got her hair in a ponytail. She's got a professional outfit on. This is in a reputable establishment. So she's got a collared shirt on, like so. And she's stirring that wax, trying to get that ready. She thinks some normal person's going to come in, and the centaur comes in and wants to get his body hair waxed. Now the centaur, he is going to be beaming with pride. He's very excited about this, so draw his eyebrows. And his eyes will go cartoony on this one. Sometimes I draw more realistic, sometimes more cartoony, it's just how I'm feeling at the moment. So this guy is just super proud of himself. And if I remember right, they had a little goatee on him in the Narnia movies. His little elf-like ears. He's got his little centaur hair. Now I'm not crazy with these legs, so I'm going to go ahead and change these. And see what I need to do to make these look better. I'm not getting the joke as I look at it. See, those look too much like human legs. You see the bend there? That's not what I want to do. I want to have like goat legs. So to do that, the legs are going to go straight down. And they're going to bend forward. There we go. Now I'm starting to see the shape that I want. And at this point, it's all about rough drawing. We're not looking to make it pretty. We're not looking for nice lines. We're looking for a shape that's going to convey the joke. When I create a Sappy Days cartoon, I am drawing just enough to sell the joke and no more. I'm not looking to sell art. Here I am looking to make a joke. And that's it. That is my goal. So how much do I have to draw? How little to get the joke across? Okay, let's kind of draw the floor line, which is about there. Shape his body a little bit. I think he's going to be lean. Think of centaurs as lean. He's going to have hooves. That's important for to know that it's a centaur. It doesn't have claws. And I think it would be funny if she's a little distracted and not paying attention to who's coming in. She's kind of bored at her job. So she's like, okay, what would you like done? And then he comes in and says, this is my first wax. Something on those lines. Now maybe there's an exam table here. They sit on and get waxed. I've never gotten waxed before, but I imagine there's some process like this that happens. This is the table here that they would normally get on. And then we're going to have something that tells us a little bit about the room. And now our wall line is here, so there should be something here about wax prices, something to give us some context of what's going on in this room. Wax prices, something like that. And then there's a Brazilian, there's a landing strip, there's bikini. I'm not sure if there's any other, we could do men, whatever waxes there are. I don't really know what kind of waxes are available, but it'll be something like that. So this kind of generally follows the floor pattern. We don't want too sharp, don't want that fisheye effect on this one. Okay. So this guy just came in the door, and that's not really clear at the moment. So let's put the door. So we see this guy just walked in, and she's not paying attention. And the door's going to go like this, because it's open. And I just want to look at that. I've been saying that this is a centaur, but this is actually a minotaur. Okay. And now I see what I'm doing wrong with these legs. Is they need to have a nice knee joint. They're going to go back. And then they're going to come forward into our hooves. Like that. That's the kind of leg shape that I was wanting to create. And they often have a tail, so I think the tail would be good to have here. So we have our waxing studio. We have some kind of an examination table here where the person might lay or lie. And then we have just a rug. We have our waxer who is disenfranchised and bored, not realizing what's going to come in. A mythological creature is going to come in and ask to be waxed. This entire thing is just going to be a furry mess. So now I'm going to take the opacity of that layer, go down, and let's start our first inking layer. Sometimes it takes me multiple inking layers. Sometimes I get it right the first time. Let's see what happens here. So your eyes are drawn to her first, so I want to make sure that she looks really good. So she's going to have this super bored expression on her face. She's done this 1,000 times. Very just kind of whatever, I'm doing my job. And then I'm going to just... It's important to realize that she doesn't see him come in and she doesn't know yet what he wants. So just going to fill the mouth black. Why not? Going very simple here, minimal amount of lines. Don't want too much detail or it will muddle the joke. Okay, there's our ear. And there's her face. And she's just got kind of, it's not like it's styled, it's not messy, it's something in between. She's at work. She doesn't really care. Yes. Now, let's color the shirt. Wrap it around. Because at this salon, they wear collared shirts. And I don't really care for the way they did that. I don't like that either. Let's try that again. That sells the joke, okay. And we're going to give her a name tag. Normally your name tag's on your left side. It would be nice if we had it here, but I don't think that would make sense too much. So we're just going to do that. And I want to give her feminine shoulders. Don't want to make her arms too big or too small. She's just sort of an average person. There's nothing... This is supposed to be believable as the kind of person you might see if you walked into a waxing studio or a salon or whatever they call it. And here's our little jar of wax. And the goal here is to make something believable. That you could see that, yes, I see what's going on here. So we're going to mark this item. This is our wax. Okay, and then her hand is underneath the wax. And her proportions are a little off, but we're going for comedy here. We're not necessarily going for masterful artistic presentation. I want a good joke. So like that. I'll put her thumb right there. And she's mixing up that wax. Draw her other fingers. And we'll close off her hand. This is the other arm on the shirts. And she's done that. And then I'm going to start adding a little bit of shading in here just to give this a little bit of depth. Not too much. But I found that a picture needs to work in black and white if it's going to work in color. So I like to make it work in black and white first so you have an idea what's going on. Then I introduce color. So let's do that. A little shading here, what's going on all under the chin. She's bored at work. She's got her wax. She's not paying attention to what's going on. Now let's do this. Complete her outfit. She's not comically large or anything. She's just a very average, normal person who's about to be presented with a very unusual situation. Okay, that's her legs. And when I'm drawing, you want as much detail as possible. So we know she's wearing like a polo shirt here. What kind of pants are these? Are they khakis? Are they jeans? I think they're khakis. So I'm not going to bother putting too much detail in them, but I might want to just kind of indicate the seam on these pants. But you see that can kind of make them look like jeans too. So I might actually just leave them like this. But I will add a little bit of just some perspective there. Tennis shoes. What kind of tennis shoes would somebody wear on wax on? Well, I think they would just wear tennis. I think they would just wear shoes. I don't think they would wear special shoes. She's got her tennis shoes on. These are her generic do whatever tennis shoes. Like that. And then they should be coming towards me a little bit. And she's got a little knot here. They've got kind of seams across. And I always just draw the little logo there. Again, just enough to sell the joke. I'm not going for photorealism. I just want the joke. Okay. Draw the other one. Same idea here. Some laces across. It's a realistic looking shoe. It's a tennis shoe. You get the idea. And she's in a chair. The chair kind of slants back in that direction. Maybe it's a stool. Maybe when you get waxed, they do it in a stool. I don't know. Let's just make it a stool. This is my first video. Not my first cartoon, but my first video. I wanted to try this. I don't want to do too much time on it. So put a little perspective so you understand that these are the legs of the chair. This is a chair, leg here, and there would probably be another leg right about here. So I'll go ahead and do that. Just want believability. Okay, that should look like a chair. Now it kind of looks like a triangle. Could put another leg there, but I feel like for the joke, you get the idea that there's some kind of a stool there. Your brain's going to process that. It's not going to be distracting. When you draw a cartoon, people tend to rip apart anything that looks inauthentic or like doesn't make sense. If your perspective is off, if the direction is off, anything that they can't tell what an item is, they'll rip on that, and then they don't even pay attention to the joke. You could write the greatest joke in the world, but if they can't figure out what your drawing is, then they're just going to rip it. So for me, let's make that as believable as possible. That looks to me like a woman sitting in a chair preparing some wax for her next appointment. Her eyes indicate that she is bored with this job and she's not really paying attention. Now we come to our fanciful little creature here who's going to be obnoxiously energetic. So I'm going to give him just plain old circular eyes because he is. Okay, that's a weirdo. Now sometimes they have horns. And the horns would certainly add a little weirdness to it. But I think I'm just going to leave him like this, and he'll be an imp, like something you would see in the Chronicles of Narnia. I've got all my fantasy characters mixed up here. I called him a centaur at first, and now I'm saying he's a minotaur, but he doesn't have a bull's face. So he's, I think they call that an imp, if I'm not mistaken. But I read that book once, many years ago. So I'm always looking for jokes when I draw. And one joke that I see right now is that he could have the most disgusting little happy trail here of like pubic hair going up the side that is just going to make him look like an absolute sex pervert, which I think is going to be funny. So I want a joke in the dialogue. I want a joke in the drawing. I want a nice snappy image that your brain processes very quickly and gets it and doesn't spend time trying to figure out what's going on. That's why cartoons look the way they do. If you put too much detail into them, you try to impress people with your artistic ability, it can take away from the joke. I want a super quick image that your brain is going to register in 2 seconds. Oh, it's one of those fantasy creature things, and he's coming in here for a wax. So let's go ahead and draw his disgusting little happy trail here. And then you see I'm outside the lines that I originally drew, but that's okay because I think I understand the shape now that I'm going for. But he's going to have this weird, like, hanging bit of hair down there. That'll be strange. And then I'm going to go ahead and go for that leg. So I'm going to switch to the ink. And I don't want to cover up this little crotch, but now I see it's kind of in the wrong location. So let's go ahead and do the other leg, and then we'll figure out where the crotch is going to go. I just think if you had like some hanging hair right there, it would be really disgusting. I'm looking for weird. I want weird in my drawings. I want dark, I want weird, and I want original. I want you to look at this and be like, oh, that's a street joke. That's something I've seen before. I want you to be like, what the fuck is this? And those are pretty much my strange comments when people are like, my favorite comments are when people are just like, what the hell is wrong with you? I don't know why that it makes me happy, but it does. So I'm trying to do something different and original. There's our hooves. I'll put butthole because it'll be funnier. Just a funny word, butthole. Get your butthole done. You can get your Now, there's just a list here that just has words on it. So what are these? So I'm just going to have to give some context to this. So we'll say that this is, I'm going to take these words and move them down. And then we'll give this some, we'll just say this is waxing options. I have horrific handwriting. There. So you got a couple items to choose from. Brazilian lining strip butthole. She's got the wax ready, and then she's going to say her line, and then he's going to respond. So let's get rid of our pencil now. Now that we know what our shape looks like, it's kind of coming together now. I'm not crazy about that door frame there, so let's go ahead and do this. This could be a hanging sign, I guess. Let's see if that works. If I did that, that would make sense to have a hanging sign like that. Not really. I think I'll just get rid of the door frame. I'll just say that's like this. He comes in. And we talked about having a rug just to make this fill up some of the space, make this room seem a little bit more lived in. You'll notice I got rid of the exam table. Just don't want too much stuff in here. I just want to sell the joke and no more. So let's see how this works. And because this is a spa, maybe they've got like a yin and yang. I don't know if that's the right way or if I did it backwards. Doesn't really matter. I think people will read. They'll read. So at the spa, they have the yin yang mat on the floor. And this perverty guy comes in. And let's add our dialogue. Now I use a font for my dialogue because I have terrible handwriting, as I said before. And she says, welcome to, which one you want, hon? It's like a cafe waitress. And what that's saying is, okay, now we want people to look up here and see that she's offering him these services here. Okay. Now let's get these letters nice and tight. Okay. So she's going to be, her dialogue's right here. And actually I can kind of cheat on that sign because I didn't fill it all out and say, okay, some of her dialogue's just going to cover that sign. She's going to say, which one you want, hon? And then he is going to respond. Depends. So she says, which one you want, hon? Looking at these services, he says, depends. How much wax you got? Okay, now we're going to add our bubbles to this. And this need to go to the top. Okay, I like to just do a square dialogue. Otherwise, it just starts getting weird looking. Just keep it super simple like this. I don't even worry about size. I can always resize it. And her dialogue comes out here. And I'll take the white. I'll drag it in there. That's colored in. I'm going to go ahead and take her text and center it a little bit more. Which one you want, hon? And then now this guy's going to respond. Okay, so as you can see, I have a problem, which is I've covered up his legs, which is a very important part of the joke. So I'm probably going to have to move this. because I don't want the legs are critical to the joke. So let's move his dialogue over. And we can cover up yin yang a little bit more. Don't care about her shoes. That's not really critical to the joke. No, his text goes in here. Let's see what that looks like if I put the white in. Kind of like it. Let's see. Let's turn it a little bit. Really legible. How much wax you got? So this kind of gets us down here and gets us looking in this area, which I like. Then I'm going to sign my name on this. Do my signature, which is, I usually pick an empty spot like down here to do my signature. And I'm trying to make my letters look kind of interesting. So I go for long and lean. And then with my Z, I try to make it kind of look interesting. So I follow the shape of the Y. Then I go back to flat. And I put this in here just so it's clear that it's a Z. Otherwise it looks like a 1. And then I will do .com. And then I'll go 2021. And there we have a brand spanking new Sappy Days comic.